Greetings and welcome to Channel Other Doc. I am Jim. I use he, him pronouns. I am your bedraggled GM who's been having to deal with all manner of strange things breaking on my system, and hopefully, all will be well now. I had a number of things that just decided suddenly to suddenly OBS wanted well, it's not even OBS. Suddenly OBS refused to function without an update to the driver, and then suddenly the driver refused to function without a restart, and you know, these things happen. But anyway, enough kvetching from me. This is the second session of our Amber Diceless campaign that we are doing here this month. Let us go around and have folks say who they are and who they're playing, and I will start with Pope. Hello. I too want to see where all this goes. And let us now move over to Chris. Hello. It's good to know that was able to keep you awake. There's a lot going on, or is about to be. Let's now move over to Anino. Hello. Righto. No worries. Sorry, we're all sort of been sitting here blitzed out for the last half hour because of the tech issues, but we'll hopefully be diving back in a moment. And let us say hello to Anders. Hello. Oh yes. Okay, now. Okay, quick point here. Apparently people can't hear me. Which is... Or you can only hear me. That's interesting. So that... Yeah, hang on a second. Apparently, yeah, those intros were absolutely not heard by anyone, apparently, which is weird. Let me go ahead and turn this on and make sure everything is coming through. Let's see, I have audio coming through here. Let's test headset audio. Why is that not working? All right. Hang on.
Is it out like silent movie actors?
Yeah, it's gonna be a silent movie. Why? Oh, I know what happened. Okay, let's turn it to that. All right. Okay. Now it looks like perhaps it's coming through. Yay, audio gremlins. Can someone say hello, please?
Hello!
Yay! Hopefully, is that audible? Can everyone hear everyone now? Out there on the interwebs, this is the night of a million tiny knives. Thank you, cool. Thank you, that's IDM. Thank you. Yay! It's tech night apparently. So these things always shall happen in some fashion or other. All right. Everything goes boom, one way or another. Okay. So yeah, we are doing Amber Diceless, damn it. And by a brief way of explanation, this is based on the Amber Chronicles by Zelazny. So we just went around and everyone introduced themselves silently. I think now we're just going to introduce your characters as they come into play, because we're already like 40 minutes behind, and I am chomping at the bit to get at this. We will do this thing. Okay. So yeah, this is something like a millennium after the events of the books. So a lot of things have changed. Amberites and Chaosians age very slowly. So many of them are probably still around, but we'll see. I've written agendas and stuff. So I'll have to see how this goes. It's a little bit different from the way that I usually plan for the PBTA games and what have you, because there I use these things called fronts. Here I use these things I call agendas. I just write down a bunch of things about what the NPCs are trying to do, and then we see what the players do and what they end up bumping into, and things happen. So let's do that. Let's do that. So we're going to start with somebody, and I'm going to ask each of you as we start with your character and opening scene, where you are and what you're doing, and either I can call on someone or someone can volunteer. So, would anyone like to start?
Certainly.
Alrighty. You're up.
Currently, Addison is in the city of Amber, looking around, trying to see about getting a few new nasty plants for his swamp. Apparently, his last travels to Shadow and back weren't so smooth. So, making things a little more unpleasant at the anchor point back to home might make things a little less awful.
Excellent. All right. So, you're in the city. Whereabouts do you think you might be looking for something like this?
I think he's heading towards one of the local bazaars, because he just needs to get something like particularly foul-smelling or like thorny or possibly poisonous. Something just genuinely unpleasant that people might put outside of their homes to drive people away.
Excellent. So you've you've been wandering around for a little bit trying to find just the right thing, and you haven't quite just found just the right thing just yet. It's you think that you're probably getting closer. You've narrowly avoided some people just basically kind of fighting in the street as you're passing by Duelist Row, and you're kind of wandering about trying to get a hold of something. Yeah, sure, why not? I think that after a little while, you see that there's this, as you're kind of in sort of between, sort of on the edge of Duelist Row, and you're looking down over the grid, sort of that area where they've got all these just sort of blocks of land that have been developed on top of who knows what. And it just sort of is looking down, and you can see it's a pretty decent day in as far as things are going. As the sun's hanging like directly overhead, and you're looking down a little bit as the city slopes a tiny bit as you're heading down a mountain, basically. And you can see there is a line that has formed around one of these blocks, heading into this little sort of this little pavilion-like affair. This sort of wooden, it's more of a wooden pavilion type affair, where you see people coming in and out, and you think that they have probably, that there are, and you see people sort of walking away from it carrying exotic plants.
Bingo. Just rush on over there. See just how long the line is, as well as before hopping in, like listening to a couple of the conversations that are obviously going on.
Yeah, so there's some chatting that is going on. A lot of times they're just sort of talking to each other, trying to figure out a few things. It's like there's some bit of oddity that they're thinking is going on in Shadow. As they're thinking about, they're actually talking about trying to go out and visit to see some of the interesting things. because it's now transit between shadows has become a little easier, and that as long as you're going somewhere along the Dusk Road. So there are, basically it's mostly folks sort of talking about maybe heading out down to the to the skyport and catching a ship down. Apparently, there have been, as you get closer, and you're just sort of looking around. The line is fairly long, but it is also kind of disorganized. So you think there are places you might be able to break in if you so desire. There are also talking that recently the Sky Navy that has been formed, is basically now taking on new recruits to try to head out and sort of check out some of the pirate activity that's been going on. But yeah, you do see there are places in line you could break in if you so desired.
Yeah, I'll try and find one of the cracks in people's perceptions of where the line is and isn't, and just insinuate myself at the end of that crack.
So, do I take it you are in fact using your broken pattern as part of this?
Yeah, I detest waiting.
All right. So you bring it up because you can just you take a second to bring the your broken pattern up as an image in front of you, which you can do and sort of see through it, using it as an eye to find the crack. And you really, it's the key with broken pattern is to look at the interstices rather than the thing itself. And ultimately, it does not take you long. As you're sort of hunting back and forth, you find a position not very far from the front where you know that someone is about to trip over. There's about to be someone pushing a cart coming through as this is happening from the opposite side, and that's going to be a choice place to skip in, and you'll only have like 2 people ahead of you.
Perfect. So just wait for the inevitable unpleasantness, and soon as the first scream comes out, just slide in.
Yeah. So tumble happens. There's my foot. Oh God! And there's some people are stopped, and there are people kind of up front, and you slide in. Nobody notices. As you head in, the 2 people in front of you are kind of like, just still they're they didn't really turn around much because they're like, they're just trying to get closer. And after about 5-10 minutes, maybe, the person who was in front of you comes right back around and heads out. And you head inside. And it's this little booth-like area. There's a little bar set up, and there's kind of a mirror on the back wall. There's a little bar stool. It's still this tiny little booth, and a gentleman with sort of sandy-colored hair is wiping down the bar, and he looks up. He says, "Good afternoon, friend. What can I get you?"
Excuse me, this wasn't what I was expecting.
Rarely is. I take it you're here for some purpose or other, yes?
Yes, I'm looking for a particularly unpleasant plant.
Quite. Sit down a moment, would you?
Certainly.
So there's something I need your absolute... And he kind of sort of straightens up as he's kind of just sort of stretching. And he kind of looks you up and down, and he says, "So I need some assurance from you prior to looking into the plant situation for you, as it were. Is this in any sense royal business?
No. No, this isn't royal business. Royal business really has business in swamps.
He just sort of he studies your face for a moment. And he nods slowly. Were I you, I should be a tiny bit more circumspect when throwing around one's abilities. A good choice of one, by the way, but there are those who can see.
Everyone sees. I'm not important enough to be a problem.
That's what they all think. At the beginning, at least. Right. And he turns around and he sort of puts his hand up against the mirror behind the bar for a moment. And he's like, right. Pull that curtain to your left aside for a moment, would you? And so you move the curtain, and you're looking into it. Looks like a mirror frame, but there is what looks like an arboretum on the other side of it.
Curious.
So, what you wish to procure should be right in there.
Thank you.
Do be careful about wandering outside of that. One wouldn't want to get lost.
I see. And just slip through the curtain, making sure to leave it a crack open.
He's doing something you can kind of tell as you pass through. You're passing through this mirror. Feels a little bit weird. It's kind of like you're breaking the surface of water, except there's nothing, there's more air beyond the surface. And you come into this area that's like, it's this garden, this indoor garden with all manner of plants just all around. And you see there's some sort of light that's filtering in from windows above. It's not quite the same sunlight. And you see this sort of shrouded figure, this figure in a wearing like a shroud, wearing a almost like a funeral shroud, not quite, but just going around clipping some of the herbs. And she looks over, she nods. You see it's a woman. She's like, "Yes? How can I assist you?"
I'm looking for a particularly unpleasant plant.
Ah. Any particular kind of unpleasant? What would you like it to do? You have one that argues with me constantly.
No, argument's too mild. I need something particularly violent and smelly.
Of course. Well, let us see. And she kind of is looking around for a moment, and it looks as though she does, as she pulls, she kind of goes over to this section there's some plants that are under this sort of container, like a plastic looking container. She opens it and this ungodly smell comes out. as you see a few of these little plants, like there are 3 of them that come up and they're kind of spiky. She says, I think this might be what you're looking for, yes?
I think we have a winner.
Excellent. Well, you can, these will be just, and she looks in, this will be about 10. These are 10 apiece. And
reach into an old pouch on his belt, just pulls out 10 coins.
So, as you're handing them over, she's looking up at you, and then she seems to be looking at something over your shoulder, and she says, "Oh dear, that's not good." You look back and you see that she's looking at the mirror through which you entered, and it looks like there are a couple of guards, a couple of royal guards have entered the little that little kiosk and are looking around.
With a heavy sigh, he grabs the plant.
Are those friends of yours?
No, but I'm not in the habit of causing problems for people I like. Nods, just grabs the plant and dives through with the plant, spiky ends towards guards.
Okay.
Through the mirror.
Alrighty. Well, this will be interesting. So you are diving toward, you're heading up, diving toward these guards, and we're now going to cut away to someone else, as you are preparing to do this. I think we're going to go ahead and cut over to Lady Charlotte, I think. Tell me where you are and what you are doing.
I'm on my moon, because I have a moon, because of course I do. And I'm currently at the Opera House, which, unless it has another name, I've been calling it the Opera of the Eternal Eclipse, because it's on a moon, so the eclipse is eternal.
Excellent.
Or doesn't exist at all. And it's preview night. There are important people who have gathered to see the show, but more than that, to discuss business in the privacy of an opera booth and make deals, all sorts of shady things that need to occur. And I'm simply providing entertainment and a place for them to do so, free from judgment from either side of the conflict.
All right. And so there are people here making deals. And can you just, I'm sorry, brain melting here. Just restate for me. You said that, is there an event of some kind going on right now?
It's preview night. You see, our newest show has not had opening night yet. That's coming up. But this is sort of an early preview for important contacts. And
okay. So this is one of the dress rehearsals?
Yes, it's a very important dress rehearsal.
Okay. Now, is this a full cast opera? Is this more of a concert thing? What is it?
Oh, it's a full dramatic experience. I would not present anything else. There are full sets of ballerinas, a prima donna, full stages. There are horses. And, I wanted elephants, but we couldn't get them in time. But it's full-scale dramatic.
Excellent, excellent. So I think my question then is, so folks are going to be then sort of in the audience. They're probably just sort of they'll be kind of sort of in various. Do you have anyone up in box seats tonight, or is it all just the main audience right now?
Oh, absolutely. Are the folks in box seats necessarily there to enjoy the show? Or are they there to sit in the shadows, have an alibi and discretion while discussing things they could not discuss elsewhere. Perhaps it's that.
Who knows? Who indeed knows? Let's see. All right. I think that. Okay. Yeah. That'll do it. All right. You So are you in the production, or are you producing it?
Not this particular production. I am the producer, the director, creative designer, as many hats as I can wear, while also not having to do as much work as necessary. I'm famous enough, that I can put on the show and still get all the accolades, even if I don't even touch the stage.
Excellent. Excellent. All right. So, as you're kind of looking around and you're seeing the different conversations that are going on, I think that you're sort of looking up and you see in one of the boxes people are conversing, but then in one box there's someone just sitting there by themselves, and the thing that draws your attention is that they are also wearing a mask. That's kind of similar to yours in the way that it looks. So someone sitting there in the mask. They're kind of they've kind of got this sort of big cloak that they haven't taken off for whatever reason. And you see they're playing with something in their hand that's like on the end of a chain. They're sort of watching the. You think that, as far as you know, they're sort of watching the opera, but not. They're just sort of sitting back and very circumspectly kind of looking around. It's sort of like you're not sure if their entire attention is on the stage or not.
I'd like to grab 2 drinks from just a wandering waiter and make my way up to that booth.
Okay.
Push aside the curtain and sort of step in, to remain at the back in the shadow. Good evening.
So as you head up, and you pass on your way up, you notice that one of your friends is in the audience. One of your court friends is in the audience. You may decide which side and which one. Actually, before we do this, is it one of your Amber friends, or one of your Chaos friends who would be in the audience tonight?
Let's go with Chaos.
Okay, so one of your friends from the Courts of Chaos is sitting also in the audience. They have a couple of people with them. They've come to watch the opera. They said to you earlier that that's why they were here. Yeah, your patron is not here, but they are going to possibly arrive later. They may try to catch the second act, you've heard. And so that's you heard through this person who's now sitting in the audience. And so you sort of go up. You head up the stairs, and you then address this person and sort of. Do you approach them from behind in the box, basically?
I remain in the entranceway, a bit obscured by shadow, but I do announce myself. Good evening.
So there's a pause, and you can see that the very quickly pulls in. It looks for a second like it was some sort of something with glass in it. It was holding, but they very quickly closed their fist. And without turning around, you hear what sounds. You hear a kind of a deep voice say, "Good evening."
I don't think we've been introduced. I am Lady Charlotte here of the theatre, and I sort of like to make it my business to know everyone of importance. Are you someone of importance?
Yeah. I don't reckon I'm of that much importance necessarily. There's something familiar about the voice.
Oh, but you're sitting up here all alone. Would you mind company?
I would like that.
I'll just step around so I'm up with them. Offer them the other drink.
So they raise their hand, they take the drink. You can see it looks like kind of like a gentleman with pale skin and sort of long brown hair. As far as you can see, and then the cloak, and just sort of sits watching, looking around. You've done a lot with this place. It's very good.
Well, thank you. I've been generously supported by those who appreciate the arts.
It's amazing. It's amazing, it is.
Are you a lover of the arts, sir?
In a manner of speaking. It's just good to see it around.
I'm curious if you don't mind me asking, but I have not yet heard your name.
He's sort of, for the first time, he moves his head and kind of looks at you. And you think you know this person. But at the same time, you've never seen them before. It's kind of strange. Says, yeah, my name's probably one of those that's best not spoken around places like this.
No, you see, that's very interesting. A place like this is designed for speaking names that shouldn't be spoken in other places.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, I shouldn't have come. This was a terrible idea.
Oh, no. I welcome your patronage. Please don't allow my fourthness to force you to leave.
No, it's fine. It's just fine. It's good. But in a minute, it's happening. Okay. And you can see just basically there's something has distracted him. He's like, not now. Damn it.
Are you all right?
Just a spell I get from time to time. Give me a sec.
I take
gotta
a
go.
step back.
I'm alright, I gotta go. And, He's sort of like, he's just sort of looking up. He's like, not now. It was good to see you. Sorry.
It was quite nice to make your acquaintance.
He gets up and he hesitates for a second, and he seems impulsively to reaches forward to take your hand, if you allow it.
I allow it.
And you feel an object that he's pressing into your palm. He says, "I'm not sure what's going to happen, but well, whatever it is, just know that I cared for you very much. I gotta go." And immediately he turns and heads, and you can see actually as he's doing so, you can see his hair is starting to change color a little bit. It's getting lighter. And behind the mask, you can tell his features might be shifting a bit. And he kind of he leaves something in your hand, and he turns and he just sort of bolts for the door at the back of the box.
I'll let him go.
Okay. So he goes in, and he sort of is like, you can see this, some sort of like a light playing just above him. You really feel like you should know this person, but as he's turning the corner, and then the light goes out,
I look at what's in my hand.
it's it's a little lens inside a sort of a little monocle-like thing on one of those monocles on a stick. And the thing is, as you're looking at it, you remember that your father had one exactly like that.
I race outside. Is he still there?
There is a fading after image. Of what looks like a person kind of like in this sort of pose as though they're being thrown back. But it's this brief fading after image that turns this sort of flat rainbow-like thing that just vanishes in front of you.
Does it look like anyone else around saw that?
Well, immediately, as you're just sort of... You don't sense that you're in any particular danger, but you do get this immediate feeling that there is someone like right there. And you turn, and you see the face of your patron coming up sort of the side stairs looking up. And you just sort of look up and they're like, what was that? And we're going to cut over now. And let's see, to whom shall we cut? Let's go over to Anino for a bit. Let's go to Lanata. And I would like you to tell me where you are and what you were doing.
So, as a wandering monk with no direction whatsoever and a almost pathological fondness for drink, he is just going to be maybe standing around the center of town with a red solo cup in his hands. Just chilling and looking to see where fates might lead him.
Remind us, because I keep forgetting to ask this question, what does Lanata look like?
So Lenon is a man is about a little bit on the short side, about 5'6". He's got his sort of that traditional Shaolin haircut with everything but the crown of his head shaved, and it comes down to a very long braid. He doesn't wear robes though. He's actually kind of dressed casually in plaid and jeans, as if he sort of just stepped off of I don't know, like an Abercrombie and Fitch catalog. He's a very slight build, and almost unassuming in his mannerisms. But so that's what he's doing. He's actually sitting cross-legged on his cloud horse, just floating there. Just watching the people pass by, see what this town of Amber is all about.
Okay. So, quick question. Did you just state you are in Amber?
Sure.
Okay. I just wanted to check on that. My question is this the first time you've been here?
Yes, and so far no one has bothered him for drinking in public with an open container. So he seems to be rather relaxed and enjoying himself in the atmosphere.
Okay. Yeah, so it is a slightly odd thing. As you have found yourself here, you came here. Well, I am curious how you got here. How did you find yourself here?
So here's the thing: is Divining Sphere has what you would call a sort of shadow trail app, and he had gotten bored of this previous shadow he had been in. And decided that he needed to change of scenery. And on a whim, his sphere latched on to a merchant who had happened to just pass his way through Amber. And, that's when Leonardo decided to cut that shadow trail and just land there.
So the merchant, okay. So yeah, this was probably someone that you spotted. You would likely have ended up going along the Dusk Road at some point for a bit for this,
Sure.
If you were following a merchant. But on the other hand, yeah, all right, we'll do this. So yeah, it is a little odd that they diverged from it for a while, kind of as they were riding. You were able to determine, and that's unusual because most people who are not from Amber can't actually travel through Shadow that way. So this is someone that you followed here, their trail, and you know that they are around somewhere. They're kind of in the crowd watching, or just sort of you think they went to a place that has that well when you diverged from them, they went to a place near the waterfront, or the former waterfront, where they serve fish, and now you're sort of more in the square here. You after a bit, you're going to witness a couple of, as these things are kind of going on, you're going to witness a point where you come to this place where you see a couple of people fighting in this street, in the middle of the street, and they're doing it. They're right now they're going sort of bare knuckle at it. and you see this one person just was like, so very frustratedly beating someone to a pulp. And then eventually the person does not get up, and they rise and they sort of raise their hands, and then there's this sort of this bloodthirsty thing. And this is a big guy with a scar, and just sort of turns around. Come on, any challengers? Any more challengers? I can do this all day. No, it's not Captain America. But for some reason, that's the line that just leapt into my head. Forgive me.
Sure. So, Lana's going to be looking around with keen interest to see who's going to challenge this behemoth of a man. His solo cup is only half full now. So, obviously he isn't sort of any desire to just put his drink down. Someone might mess with it. So he's just gonna chill out. But he's sort of sitting there casually on his on the cloud and just studying the guy's build and the way he moves and seeing where he ends up direction-wise.
Okay. After a moment, you see someone. You see someone step up. It's a sort of a tall individual with kind of sort of blondish red hair. And he's wearing. He's actually wearing kind of it's a bit odd because he's wearing sort of something like he's wearing a thing like a domino mask. As he's kind of coming up. And he says, well, I'll take a shot at you if anyone wants to bet. Does anyone want to bet? And there's this sort of like, sort of there, the big guy's like, I'd eat you for breakfast. Oh, well, I've just got in from somewhere else where it's much later, so it's going to be a while before I can have breakfast. But I'd be delighted to have yours.
Oh my! Look at this trash talk. look at this uncivilized Ben. How dare you? How dare you mince words over breakfast, the most solemn of meals?
I know, right?
And,
Are you actually saying this, or is this just a...
Yeah, no, he's
Is this
just
what
going
you're
to say
thinking?
it, but it's more to himself.
Okay.
As he's sort of just trying to get himself more interested in this next fight. But he's going to shift around in the front pocket of his plaid shirt and try to fish out whatever cash he has at the moment to place down a bet.
Okay. So I think the question is, there is a guy going around taking bets. Sort of a very skinny fellow just going around. Who are you betting on?
Good question. Could I use my dividing sphere's ability to detect danger and figure out which one of the two is more dangerous?
It mostly will respond to direct dangers to you, but yeah, you have a way that you figured out to kind of do that if you get close enough to them, and it's like...
Okay. Yeah, so being as that I am not exactly a man of fear, I'm going to direct Fluffy, that's my cloud horse, to draw closer to the combatants and circle around them as I studiously judge their mettle.
So Fluffy draws closer, and sort of as this is happening, you you can sense, you sort of, as you're getting this sense from both of them. Big scarred guy seems kind of dangerous. But the guy with the domino mask seems more dangerous.
Okay.
It's kind of that sense that you're getting.
So he's
kind
very
of
good.
Pulses your detector, and I'm not sure exactly how it works or how it feels, but I'm going to assume it pulses more when it's closer to more danger.
Sure. So, all right. So I'm going to direct Fluffy to approach the odds maker, and I got this wad of cash here. I'm not really good with numbers, so we'll just put all of that in on Robin over there, and he'll point at the gentleman in the domino mask.
Gladly, sir, gladly. And he takes your money. And as this is going, they sort of are limbering up, and they run at each other. You see that, and it gets to this thing where there is this sort of knockdown, drag-out thing happening, but after a few moments, you feel as though the guy the big guy keeps getting staggered back a bit, and then after a moment you realize the guy with the domino mask is kind of pulling his punches. Which is a bit odd. As the bigger guy is is what the crowd seems to think is going to be more dangerous, but yeah. And so
they don't
it's
have a magic spear to
yeah, they don't
figure these things out. So
it's like the guy is deliberately drawing the fight out for some reason.
Okay.
And as at some point, it gets to the thing where the big guy gets a little bit of advantage and gets the other one into a headlock. You can see that when that happens, a cluster of palace guards comes stalking by, and the effect is kind of immediate on it, and you see people are starting to scatter as this is happening. But you're watching this fight so intensely that you do notice one thing. You notice the guy with the domino mask kind of smiles, and he sort of is like, oh, that's my cue. And he immediately grabs the guy underfoot, and the two of them go down. He rolls out and extricates himself and just melts into the crowd as it's now dodging back and forth. As these guards are coming through, they don't seem to be coming to actually break the fight up. It's just there's this illegal fight that's in their way. And they're trying to get to the end of the street, it looks like, where there is this it looks like toward the end of the street where there are these stairs going down.
Is there any way I can fly upward and follow them over the crowd?
You can do that. Yeah, because we have specified that such things are possible in this city now. Yes. So you get on your cloud. You're on your cloud still, and sort of soaring up, and you can see a few things happening. The man who has your money is running in one specific direction. You see the guy with the domino mask you were trying to pick out, and it's actually kind of difficult. He's actually, he's actually somehow melted into the crowd really well. You can see the guards are heading down into this section of these sort of square areas of these square blocks. They're heading right for this little pavilion that's sort of in the middle of the street.
Huh. Okay. So I'm not a material man. He will say to his trusty Cloud Steed, and he will direct his Fluffy to follow the guards to this wooden pavilion because it seems like it's the more interesting option at this point.
It is a little odd. There's this long line coming from it of people, and as this is happening, there's this sort of thing where, there's this sort of thing where, and as you can see, as you're looking down, and this is also interesting, something else you notice as you get closer, that as the guards pass by, there's someone sitting on the roof of a building that just kind of nods to them and points at the pavilion. But as you sort of get closer, they barge right up, and they go in. And now I have to hop over because we don't know what's going to happen there yet. So I'm going to hop over, but first I'm going to hop over to Xena. Hello.
Hi.
Where is Xena, and what is she doing?
So I was going to leave that up to you. My character has her prototypes that she's working on. And we had talked about last time that she had Merlin as a professor or a teacher for a bit. And so she would like to arrange a trip to Amber, whatever paperworks need to be correctly done for a Court of Chaos member to go and visit a family member at Amber, and bring the prototypes and get just, feedback, discussion, things like that.
Well, among other things, something we have not specified certain things yet, and I'm about to. I'm going to say you actually are one of the few individuals right now who has Merlin's trump.
Okay.
So if you would like to try to speak to him directly, you may.
Yeah, it always, Court of Chaos, you learn to always be prepared. So before I call him on his trump, I'm going to put my prototypes in a bag, basically have a to-go bag if needed. Not too much worried about material possessions because I can really grab whatever I need generally. So just like maybe extra set of clothing or something. But
Gotcha.
My prototypes are the biggest thing that I would be worried about bringing. Then sure, I will try and call Merlin and see if he has time to meet with me either here or in Amber for... have I spoken to him before about my ideas of these prototypes, or? Probably
some. You've probably at least sent him some information.
Okay. Well, then I'd like to speak to him again about where I'm at, some of the... I'm moving very along on the self-configuration, the self-replication within any shadow and no matter physical properties I'm having a little trouble with, and I'd like to get his opinion on.
Yes. Okay. You get, as you're getting ready to do that, you do receive a note, coming from the head of your household.
Okay.
Because I'm presuming you've already you said you were filing paperwork and what have you, as far as letting folks know you're going to be going away for a bit. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And I'm certainly not hiding what I'm working on. I mean, it's more for it's not necessarily hiding. I look at it. So, I mean, certainly my head of house would know what I'm working on and what my goals are.
So the paper that you get, and it's brought to you by a little sort of flying lizard, hands it to you, and it's it's written in sort of very flowing script, and it just says, Xena, Their Majesty would like you to take special note of anything particularly interesting and out of place on your journey, as might make a good gift.
Okay.
And it is signed by the head of your house.
What all do I know about the fiance of the monarch?
So I have assigned names. So if the monarch, it's let me see if I can pronounce this correctly. It's King Noctheral. Who is Ian's gender fluid. They go by they them pronouns, but they still refer to them by the title King. Is currently due to be wed to yes. Noctheral is of, or just, for those who know them, King Nock. They are of House Helgrim, and they are engaged to Lintra, of which there have been several, of House Hendrake. And Lintra is everyone sort of in their house is very they tend to be very good as value battle quite a lot, battle and strategy and things of that nature. They're very interested and into warfare. Your understanding is Lintra is kind of the same. She's descended from a number of Hell Maidens of the same name.
Okay. I just trying to think of what would make good gifts. So if I have a general idea, descendant of Hell Maidens and very into Warfell gives me idea what I'm going to be looking for.
So, do you you realize that whenever you've done this before, you've needed to get out into shadow a little bit before you try to contact him, because he's on the other end of things.
That's fine.
So you shift a bit, you pull yourself out into a shadow somewhere. And you raise the trump and you look at his features. So sort of this trump of him is he's bearded, he's got a little bit of gray starting to creep in. Not very much. And you see the perspective shifts. And you see that he is seated at a table. And there are a number of interesting little sort of paraphernalia behind him on a stone wall. Like sort of magical paraphernalia. There's looks like a wand hanging on a hook. And some sort of shield with some sort of inscription on it that you can't really read from here. And he just sort of looks up as it's like he's sort of in the middle of talking to someone. He says, "Wait, not yet." Xena?
Yeah. Yes. I was
This is
hoping
about.
to.
Oh, this is about that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, I
If
completely
this is about
forgot.
time, I can call you later.
I
Oh,
have. It's not so much the time as it is the place. I think. I think. I think some folks might object if I bring you right in here. Um, no, but times being what they are. Oh, what the hell? Uh, yeah. What can you? This is where we're looking over the we're looking over the are you at testing yet? Are you at are you at
yeah, I've
alpha
got
or
some
a beta yet?
prototypes. I've got some prototypes. They're still at manual configuration stage, and I have to unfortunately they're one level of configuration. They can only be configured to one communication method, and the self-replication is.
Oh yeah.
That's what I wanted to. I have some ideas.
Crap, the thing I wanted to try I might only be able to do here. Okay. Um Will you hang out, please? Just okay. He's talking to someone else. He's pointing to someone else. Hang out. So you're fine. Just sit there, all right? We're figuring this out, okay? God. All right. What the hell? I was having a boring day anyway. Come on.
I will grab his hand and go on through.
He pulls you through. Trump contact. You step through and you find yourself in a room. So it looks like a laboratory of sorts, magic with a lot of actually a very old style laboratory, with a lot of with a sort of wide table, a lot of different magical paraphernalia. There's like a skull on the desk, and there are a lot of there's sort of paintings sort of around the room, and actually several of them look like they've been covered over. This windowless room, and as he just sort of is looking around, and he says, "Hey, and you see there's a guy sitting at the end of the table, and he's wearing this big sort of opera cloak. And as you look over, and he's just sort of like he's got kind of sort of like black and white hair. He says, well, you two, maybe. Well, you've never met, have you? No. Dralak, this is Xena. She's House Carrick. She's from back home. Xena, this is my nephew, Dralak of House Sawal. I unfortunately interrupted him while he was at the opera. Speaking of which, we're going to pan around real quick. Back to Charlotte. Whereupon we will ask, as your patron, your friend and patron is there. Your friend and patron who, let's see, what did I assign? He says, looking around his thing here. Yeah. Oh yes, your friend and patron is the. Your friend and patron is Lintra, right? Is the fiance of the king, right?
Yes.
That's right. Okay, good. I'm glad I got that. So yes, she's there. So she's like she's 6'5", practically right now, and she has She has sort of mottled skin, with sort of this sort of butterfly pattern on her face that she's wearing this evening. She doesn't generally wear a mask. She just makes her face into one. She has short cropped hair, and she's wearing. She's actually pretty well dressed tonight. She's wearing a. She's wearing a sort of a practical but nice dress. As she just sort of looks up and she again asks, "What was that all about?"
Oh, nothing, darling. Don't worry about it. How are you? Welcome.
I'm
take
good.
her hands.
Yeah, she takes you and she does that thing where she sort of kisses the side of your face, and says, "It's very good to see you. That looked like somebody trumping out.
Is that what that was? Oh,
That
you
is
know,
what
I don't
that-
know.
That is what
I
that is.
prefer
yes.
the traditional arts, not the magical ones.
Huh. Mysteries. Well, I just wanted to come back and say that I am very much looking forward to seeing this in full when I have an opportunity, but I just wanted to say hello before we settled down.
Yes,
in the
it's
box,
going to
and,
be spectacular. I know you wanted elephants, and I tried my darndest, but there are several horses, which I know you're quite a fan of horses as well.
Well, no, that's fine. There's certain political situations that are making it a little difficult to transport certain beasts. So that's understandable. But can I assume that right now you're still planning on when is your premiere date?
We premiere, and we're just gonna say 2 days, 2 nights. We have our preview night tonight, and then we'll tear it all down and go over notes and probably change everything, and then we'll be ready for opening night. You know how it is.
Oh, of course, absolutely. Okay, 2 nights, that should give us enough time. All right, good. There's, well, time flows more slowly back home, so I've got a little more time out here than I do over there. There are rather a lot of things afoot at the moment, so it's sort of rather how these things happen. That said,
Darling, if you need any assistance, I owe you quite a few favors.
well, it actually has to do a little bit with transport. There's some things that we're looking at branching out a bit, and it might involve the creation of a bit of a shadow channel from this place. Might be beneficial to you.
I'll say this. If you're looking for discretion, we purchase all manner of strange things to come here, and folks no longer bat an eyelash.
Yeah. How do you feel about dragons?
Are you serious?
Well, let us say that if we manage to do what we're looking to do, we may have access to some of those in short order, and they will be very close.
You know, I've always wanted to put on an opera about Merlin. Merlin dealt with dragons. We could put that on our playbill for our next show.
That one, right, yes, of course, that shadow, yes. I was a little concerned, but then I remembered you're talking about, right. Good. Good. Right. Yes. I think that would work.
You know, darling, you look stressed.
Oh, I feel stressed. There's some things that I'm trying to get ready. Well, I'm getting married soon.
I hook my arm with
So
hers.
it's there is a bit of a difficulty, and I just want to make sure we have a good show of things. Oh dear, you've given me an idea.
Oh, well, that's terrible.
It's
I'd hate to
absolutely
give you
terrible.
that.
It is absolutely terrible. Have you ever had an opportunity to perform anywhere outside of here?
In my younger days, before I had a reputation and a glamorous opera house and a moon. But it's been a while.
I do forget, have you been out to the courts at all ever?
Once or twice.
Okay. All right. Good. Good. That's good. You've had experience with it then. We have, a rather an interesting idea for the presentation for the wedding that's coming up. There is rather a lot that Dirnak is doing to try to impress me, I fear. And I feel as though it would be good to counter that with as much of an impression as I can make.
I'm good at making impressions.
Well, yes, you see, you'd be one part and the dragons would be the other. Do you think perhaps sometime soon you might be up to perhaps staging... It's a bit more of a concert type thing, but a little bit of a... Perhaps you could use it as a bit of a trial run for some of the things you'll use eventually. At the Dark Citadel.
I suppose that could be arranged. But if I'm at the Dark Citadel, then my opera here goes dark. And, well, that's quite a lot of folks not being paid. So I would need hefty compensation for such a commission.
Oh, well, something like this succeeds. I don't think compensation's not really going to be too much of a problem. I do... There are rather deep pockets that are about to be available to me, so I think that
Good.
it's likely not going to be an issue.
You know, I'm very excited for your wedding, if only to fill my own pockets a little bit. And happily ever after and all that, but...
The other good thing about... Yes, well... Yeah. Do you not have an understudy?
Well, of course, we have
someone else
many
who works for it.
understudies, but if
Well,
I'm
someone
not
works for
here,
it.
the whole production falls apart.
Right, yes, that's right. You're not in this one. Ah. Yeah. You need to bolster your, we need to bolster your staff, perhaps, to help that out. Huh. It's a thought. It's an interesting thought. Well, very good. I think we shall, be very excited to see how this goes.
Good. Yes. Oh,
I
that
will-
sounds all wonderful.
There are a few ritualistic things involved. I shall get you the libretto presently.
Good. Do you have any other plans this evening, or will you have a drink with me?
I am dying for a drink.
Good. Come this way, darling. Hook her
And you
arm and lead her to the drinks.
And you head that way. So we're going to briefly pan over back to Addison as this is going on. And so, yeah, you are diving out through this mirror right toward these guards. Are you aiming to... What are you aiming to do here?
I want to make it like I am just clumsily crashing through with this smelly incredibly spiky plant.
Gotcha. So, as this is going on, as you're diving at them with this incredibly spiky plant, you're intending basically to either impale them or with this plant, or
More just cause enough of a commotion, enough of dispersion and distraction that any and all can just get away.
Excellent. Okay, so as you are diving through, so the guards that have come in, they're decent, but they're not quite a match for you too much as you're sort of diving out through. So you do manage to take them definitely by surprise because they didn't realize you were coming, because they couldn't really see. They couldn't see. They were seeing a mirror, and you come diving out, and as you do this, you note that they're like, so they immediately come up into a sort of a defensive position. This stench immediately just sort of hits them, sort of everyone in here, as you come out through the mirror. They are not prepared for that either. One of them you manage to sort of catch a little bit on the shoulder with a spike, and he sort of comes back a bit. The other one kind of ducks and sort of gets out of your way. Are you going to barrel past them, or are you going to try to more knock into them? What do you want to do?
Addison is a clown, so it is like the entire bumbling, almost Jackie Chan shtick, where I have this smelly, awful, spiky plant. I have barreled through, I've hit one, and it's like, oh bother, oh, I'm so sorry. Swing around, possibly hitting another, oh no, I've lost my balance, stumble, like hit the bar, do like a quick pirouette, just swinging wildly, and then use that momentum to carry myself out the door.
All right. You do that. As you're basically stepping on bits of on them, sort of using one's shoulder to sort of launch yourself out the front. You tumble out, and sort of the line is kind of disrupted. Yeah, Lanata, you're seeing from above this figure come tumbling out of this kind of little pavilion, being pursued by a couple of guards.
Wow. That's quite a commotion there. So Lanata's gonna peer up at the person who was perched up on a roof, overseeing everything, and see what his reaction might have been.
So she seems to be standing now, and she seems to be running across the roof, just sort of casually running, sort of fast walking to one side as they're coming past. And it looks like she's getting ready to jump down in front of him.
Oh. Okay. So, Lanata's going to swoop down on his cloud, because he just doesn't like it when people just ambush people out of the blue like that. So he's going to swoop down from where he was and intercept the woman on her leap downward, and then he's going to leap off his cloud and snatch her into a all-time favorite wrestling move, the RKO, and drop her down onto the floor.
Excellent. So you zoom past, you leap up, and in midair she turns to intercept you.
Oh,
we're going to go to break real quick. As this is happening. Also, unfortunately, Anders does have to take off. Did you want to leave any links or what, or tell anyone where folks can find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Anders_D_K, and on Dad Bod in like 30 minutes. When this is over, you should hop over and check that out when this awesome stuff is all done tonight.
Yay.
But that's it for me. I have to go. I'm so sorry.
No
I
worries.
overscheduled myself.
Happens
see
to us all.
you.
All right. That's
Thanks
it
so
for
much.
me.
Take care.
Bye.
And
Adam.
we'll see you all shortly. we have returned in some fashion or other. And now, once again, we shall commence and sort of see what happens. So yeah, when we went to break, we had this little sort of conflict going on, and Lanata, you were jumping at this individual, sort of clad in black, who was hopping down, and I think if you can. You were basically jumping at it, and it looked like she was, if not ready for you, she was at least responsive.
Sure.
And so as as gravity does what it does, you do still collide with her, and you do still keep her from landing where she wanted to. But she is able to roll into it, and the two of you essentially tumble across the street to the far side. And so Addison, you're running out, and these two people just sort of tumble down in front of you and come up sharp against the wall opposite. And they're kind of... Neither one of them is actually on... she doesn't manage to quite hit the landing so that she can get on... top, per se. The two of you are still sort of just on your sides, and you've sort of slammed into this wall.
Do I recognize either of them?
Well, they're moving rather quickly, but yeah, one of them, as you are, sort of starting, and you're kind of looking over, you have to look over your shoulder as you're going past. But you sort of, yes. Yeah, one of them, strangely, is the friend of, is a fairly well-known, well, not that well-known, known amongst the family as a friend to Her Majesty, Queen Isolde of Amber. Rumor is the name that she goes by, this one.
So...
It is suspected she does Spymaster stuff for her as well.
Yeah, seeing Rumor just all of a sudden go from being the prancing idiot to all of a sudden, gaining my bearings, gaining my balance, and just kind of cutting all the tomfoolery short, holding the plant in one hand, just stare at Rumor. Why, friend? Why? I was just trying to get a plant today.
Well, let's see what's happening. So, Lanata, the two of you have landed across the street. What do you want to do?
So, Lanata's upset that someone actually managed to semi-counter the RKO, the most sacred of moves. And so he's going to kip up onto his feet and assume a battle stance to face off against the assailant who he just intercepted.
So you kip up. She does something kind of similar. She uses the wall to sort of to kind of propel herself upward. And she sort of lunged forward, and you managed to, in your stance, you managed to just barely pull back before she swipes at you. With her hand has, as you notice, there's like a needle on the end of a couple of needles on the end of a couple of her fingers as she sort of swipes at you. She actually gets you with a couple of her non-needled fingers, but it just brushes you as you kind of pull back, and she And she just sort of this. She's got sort of these this pulled back black hair that you can now see now that her hood has fallen back, and she sort of looks at you and says, "Is this really something you want to do today?" As she assumes a position where you see her in her hand, a dagger suddenly appears. A very nasty looking one with ridges.
So Lenata's going to respond in kind by drawing the divining sphere. And he's going to brandish it. He's going to actually spin it around and then stick it pointy end into the ground so that it's standing up. And then he's going to hang off of it and stare at her in a sort of monkey staff balance stance and says, "Well, I would rather go for another drink, but I suppose I got to work up the thirst." And so he's going to start swaying a little bit, and he's going to respond, "Besides, I don't like it when people fight unfairly."
Addison, what are you doing?
Yes, you're both very impressive, but so is the smell of this thing. Now, can we all just act like, I don't know, civilized people and just go about not fighting in the street?
There's a terrible odor. There is a terrible odor right now, Lenata, just so you're aware. Excuse me, emanating from that plant that he's carrying.
Yes, well, this is the kind of thing that we do back home, where we fight openly in the streets. So, this is kind of within character, within the moment. Sure. Yeah, so that's what he's narrating and saying aloud.
Yeah. He's saying that aloud? Okay, that's right. This is kind of in character at the moment. And she says, And she just sort of glances at you, and seeing that you're not actually wielding a weapon, to the whole question about fighting fair, she just sort of is like, "You're lucky I am working right now." And she raises her hand and the dagger disappears.
Those are your men, rumor?
And she says, without taking her eyes off of Lenata, she says, clearly meant for the guards, "Is there anything in there?" And there's just sort of the guards who've been coming up, and they're like, one of them runs over. "No, miss, there's nothing." Damn it. "Well then," she says, "as it's the best that we have to offer right now, it looks like the two of you have just won a trip to the castle."
Will there be drinks?
Can I at least drop this off at the swamp?
He'll take it. She points. She gestures to one of the guards, who's just like looking like he really does not want to touch that thing, like the one that you hit in the shoulder. And he's like, "Take his purchase to the swamp." "Yes, miss."
Be gentle, it bites.
And he'll be like, "God." So very slowly is like taking it.
Please don't die on your way there. It's a good purchase.
If nothing else, he has at least proven he's decent at not dying.
How hard can that really be?
You're not from around here, are you? Just giving him a long look.
You see, more guards are slowly coming up, and she says, "Let's talk on the way, shall we?"
By all means, by all means.
So Winata is going to hop off his staff, grab it, and shoulder it, and whistle for his cloud horse to arrive. And he will stand upon it and draw down right next to Addison, and just to wait for directions.
Yeah. So they begin marching you. They begin marching you up the stairs toward a big palace.
Yeah, can't miss it.
No.
Can't miss it for days.
We're going to cut over for a bit, to back to Xena, who is now seated in this windowless laboratory, with Merlin and with another Chaosian.
Give me the name, but I don't remember it.
Yeah, I don't either. Yeah, he remembers better.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I've been taking notes.
Hey, glad someone has. Mine are on
share
tabs.
The class afterwards.
Sure.
Yes, Dralak of House Sowell.
Sowell.
You do recognize the House Sowell reference, I will say, Xena does. That's a kind of a significant house.
That house and my house, like, there's discussions about creation of living things versus unliving things.
Yeah.
Also was
philosophical, sometimes not.
Yeah. It's actually was Merlin's house also. That's the fun part.
Merlin mentioned that Dralak was his nephew.
Yes, he did. So you're seated there, and Merlin says, "You want some wine? Well, I've got wine."
Sure, whatever you recommend.
Well, I can't recommend it, but I've got it.
I will take what you have.
Best I can do. He gets up and he goes over to what looks like it's actually like a small sort of icebox looking thing that he opens up, and he's like, and you can see that it's actually a little more modern than what you would expect to find in you presume you're in Amber somewhere.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like ways that could be improved. I wonder if. Sorry.
Oh no problem.
I'm gonna while you saying that, I'm gonna make a quick notes. There's a few notes in my handy notebook I always carry with me with like a couple of diagrams of ideas that. And
he kind of, and he pulls out and actually the wine wouldn't be in the icebox because he suddenly realizes. But so he gets out he gets out a bottle of beer for himself, and he sets it on the he sets it on the table. Then he goes over to a sideboard where there's a bottle of wine, and he picks it up, and he pours a mug. He sets it down. He says, "I don't have any decent glasses in here right now, but I tend not to pay attention to that kind of thing these days too much."
Perfectly understandable. If you saw my lab, it would be in a very similar state.
Yeah. I saw you looking at the icebox, by the way, and I will tell you the spell was a bitch to work out.
Really?
Yeah, well, because of where we are, there's not a lot of leeway here. But he takes a bottle opener, he opens it up. So,
interesting.
There's he glances over to Dralak. He says, "There's a bit of a project that is going on. So we're not going to... I don't think it's going to be of that much interest to... I don't think it's something that you need to necessarily hear about right now. So let's just finish up real quick. If you don't mind, we're just going to finish this up real quick. listen, how... We need to figure a way that this can just cease altogether. And you were like, and he's like, and he says it's fine. And Drelek is just sort of sat back, and he says, well, that's fine, except that there's not really anything that I can do about that. Don't you have like a lot of pull over there? I'm in exile everywhere I go, you know that. Yeah, but you would think that you were like a pirate commodore over there or something, weren't you? Something along those lines, yes. Not anymore. Oh, fleet's been upended. Your fleet's been upended. Okay. So, you want to explain to me what it is that is going to present an obstacle here? Who do I need to do business with? And he sort of sits back and says, a fellow by the name of Kaldor. Okay. That name sounds familiar. All right, never mind. Any particular things I should know about Kaldor? Well, he's a shroudling, for one. Nope. When I took this job, I knew there were going to be headaches. Okay. So that's for one. Well, the other is he's rather renamed his group of ships the Dragon Fleet. There's a bit of a reason for that. Given where you've been circling in shadow, I get the feeling this is a terrible, terrible reason. It is that, yes. All right, we got to solve this. This is crazy. You're being hunted right now, yeah? I can't send you back into that. You're going to have to hang out for a while. At least for a little while. I can't keep you here for very long. You're going to figure out somewhere you can go. All right. We'll figure it out, all right? Fine by me. What the hell? All right. Hey, Xena. I am wondering, so how many of these devices do we have right now that you were working on?
I've got 3 transmitters and 4 communication devices. But the transmitters are only good for about up to 3 shadows. And that's more... And I haven't measured their range on this end of the thing, so...
Oh, well, if you can get a signal from here, then that's going to be almost hysterical. But, you know, there's a possibility. I should probably, there's a lot going on.
Do you want to see what I will pull out my bag and put the prototypes that I have on the table. I mean,
no, I didn't mean that. No, I mean, it's just that where we are right now, it's kind of hard to reach Shadow from here. I'll put it that way. I mean, there you can. Trump's work. What are you using? What are you incorporating into it? Are you incorporating Logris into that at all?
Yes.
Okay. All right. That's good.
Yeah.
So as far as it goes, I gotta be kind of careful about using that right here. But let me see here. You see, there's a thing. I really didn't want to cheat. We're gonna have to cheat. Because we don't have a lot of time right now. And I've just had a really terrible idea, okay? We're gonna get it. Well, let me put it to you this way. I have a relative here with a bit of a problem that kind of might have repercussions on a hell of a lot of shadows. And I'm also kind of in the middle of trying to calm his folks down and sort of maintain equilibrium. I think we're going to get to... How would you feel about a sudden field test?
I love experiments. Let's go.
Great.
Which end are you thinking? Middle, Amber side, Chaos side? What end of the shadows are you thinking?
There's a spot in the middle I really need to know about right now.
Okay.
So here's the thing. All right. He goes over to the wall. He moves a painting. There is nothing behind the painting. But you see him mutter a couple of words. And then he reaches into the wall. And he grabs
I assume Logris ability that he's using?
He is not. He is just using magic right now.
Ah, okay.
He reaches into the wall, and he pulls out a very small box. It's about this big. It looks actually like a puzzle box. He comes back and he sits down and he's staring at it. Okay. There was a time when I had kind of my own means of looking in on people. Unfortunately, he's really busy right now. Okay. And he very quickly does this sort of lightning fast series of maneuvers around the box. And he opens it. And he says, "So, important detail. Get out my trump, would you? You've got it there, right? Okay. Now, if I start to go nuts or anything, I just need you to just focus on the trump. And, say the word Berkeley to me, okay?
Berkeley?
Yes. It's a place. It's...
Okay, am I saying it right? Berkeley?
Yes, that'll be fine. That'll be perfect. That's where I kind of wish I was right now. He reaches into the box, and he pulls out a ring. Which he puts on his finger. It's got sort of little things all over it. And kind of this outside of the ring seems to turn. And as he puts it on, he closes his eyes for a second. Ah, crap, I forgot about that. And he reaches into his sleeve, and he pulls out, it looks like this length of rope that's just sort of going back and forth. Really, it's like, It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. It's just for a minute. It's just for a minute. It's okay. Listen. Listen to me. It's okay. I'm okay. I'm fine. I'm fine. I've got safeguards in place now. I'm fine. Will you please... And he's just sort of... He hands it... He's sort of holding it toward you. This little section of cord that's going back and forth. He says, would you please calm her down?
I'll grab her and... Is it any type of creature that I've communicated with? Do I recognize it?
You've heard that he has a strangling cord that is sentient. And it immediately seems to be trying to make mental contact with you.
I will allow it.
I have told him hundreds of times not to put that damned thing on. This is one of the first few times, in quite a long time, he has not listened. You have to get that off him. You have to get that off him immediately. You have no idea what's going to happen.
How about we watch him together? He's given me the keyword to bring him back to himself.
And he is gesturing at the at some of the parts that you have there on the table. And sort of transmitter and receiver, and he mutters, by the corpse of the deity that spans all worlds, I command that this device be enhanced to my will. And you see there's this brief little flash of light on a couple of things. He's like, okay, good. I think we're done. We're good. This'll be fine.
Take the ring off now.
You
should take your ring off. Berkeley.
He looks down at his hand. Yeah, I should take it off. I really should. Shouldn't I? That's what I should do.
Taking it off? Berkeley?
He grabs it and very slowly pulls it off. Damn it. Okay. He puts the ring back in the box. And he closes the box. He makes a few little gestures over it. And in the back of your head, the cord that you've been handing, oh, thank God. Oh, thank.
I will hold up my hand. Do you want her back?
Yeah. This is Frakir. Xena Frakir. Hi, Xena. I'm Merlin's strangling cord.
It's very nice to meet you.
Yeah. I wish it would have been under better circumstances. And
there could have been worse ones, so I'm okay with,
He's like, reaches over and he comes back. Like, okay, yeah. And she twines back onto his wrist. He's like, no, I know. Putting it back now. He gets up.
I'm going to watch very carefully, make sure he actually puts the box back.
He does put the box back. He puts the picture frame back up on the wall. He comes back over and he's like, okay. So, hopefully nobody noticed us doing that. There are a handful of people that might have, but I think we're good. Okay. So what we're going to need to do is do a test and see if we can figure out if we have how much of a dragon fleet we got to worry about. And he picks up the he says, these are two-way?
They have to go through the transmitter relay device, but they should be able to communicate with any other communication device as long as they're all within reachable distance of the relay device.
Oh, these two are really going to be within very reachable distance now, he says, and he hands one of them to Dralek. He says,
I need to. I look at Dralek. What is your preferred communication method? Speaking, flashing of lights, pheromones.
I usually just talk.
All right, give me a second. I have to still manually configure the device to the person who's going to be using it.
Right. All right. Do what you got to do.
So I will put in the auto, basic, just one of those, because I, as a Chaosian, I think of so many different forms and ways of communication, so yeah.
Oh, sure. He says, no, I get that. And so you make your adjustments. Merlin says, okay. Now, what you're going to need to do is we need to stay in contact here so we can figure out what is going on with the fleet. You've got to know some spots where you can hide out and keep watch. Obviously you're going to want to change your appearance. You've got that on probably on lock, I'm guessing. He's like, certainly. And you see he shape-shifts his face to look different. He looks younger again. And again, you've never seen him before. He looks younger and and he looks like basically a different person, he says. And Merlin says, okay. Yeah, I can do this using this. All right, I'm going to send you to just a couple of shadows over. You're going to be just aside just sort of a bit to the side of the Dusk Road. So you should be able to find your way pretty well from there. Okay? Report in when you see something or if you need to be pulled out. All right?
You might want to send him along with one of the relay devices just for some extra distance. I've got 4 of them, so...
yeah, just in case. This should have boosted it to work anywhere, but yeah, just in case. Hands him another of the relays. He's like, okay, you got my trump. If you need me to pull you out, hopefully I won't be too busy. We'll see what's going on, right? Okay. He's like, fine. This all seems a bit perfunctory. And he says, welcome to my life. And he puts his hands on his shoulders, and it's like you're watching him kind of trump out in reverse. Without looking at a trump. He's just sort of like concentrate. It takes a minute. He's like, Merlin concentrates, and he's like, okay. So, yeah, we just, I think, have to wait now, and wait, what? Who is it? What, now? I don't know. We're I cannot leave here. Look, I'm in... He reaches over, and he's like, I'm with... He reaches his hand over to you.
I will touch it. I know how trumps work.
You can now see that he is, he's talking to a gentleman with sort of sandy blonde hair, and sort of in a strange place. There's this sort of, it's like there's this kaleidoscopic effect behind him. He's wearing sort of sort of dark outfit with a brown jacket. And he says, "Yes, Uncle Delwyn, this is Xena. This is a sort of former student of mine and kind of semi-cousin. It's been a while.
I think sec twice removed.
Something like that. Yeah. It's been a while, and Delwyn just sort of just crosses his arm. Charmed, I'm sure. Why can't you leave? Because I'm sort of bound to while he's not here, I have to be here. He says, "You are in the primal." Ah, yes, right, okay. So, yes, right. So I assume then that what you just did is not going to cause me any trouble. Well, I don't know. Is it? Is it? I've got rather a lot going on right now, and we're trying to facilitate communications here. It's very difficult. I know it is. Okay. And so what happened? Well, apparently apparently we've been noticed. This is what I'm telling you. You're right there. Perhaps it might be a good idea if you find out how much they know. That friend of Her Majesty came after us. I know it was her. Rumor? Yes, that's the one. Oh, okay. Okay, all right. Well, I guess I can always scare the hell out of them and go over into the palace. That'd delight everybody. And by all means, delight them. You know what happens if if this operation ends suddenly. No, I do know. Listen. I presume you're going to talk to her in a little bit? Yes, I will. Tell her I hope she's okay. I will do that. Thank you, Uncle. And the connection drops. He says, and he sort of turns and he looks at you. He says, "You know, multitasking is our favorite hobby nowadays. While we're waiting for a call, would you like to see the palace?"
Sure. Is my form acceptable?
What form are you in right now?
Human.
Okay.
Just making sure.
He says, "Oh yeah, no, you're good.
Okay.
This is the one they generally prefer."
Okay. Just making sure. Thank you.
Great. I wonder if I should change mine. I don't know. Maybe I should just go in. No. Let's not be silly. It'll be fine. Okay.
Are you presenting me with full title, or are you presenting me as an old family member?
Jesus. Okay. Yeah. Let's go with I think it will probably be easiest if I do this as an old family member, because then things. Okay, Isolde's been getting
It's
really
fine. I'm
freaking
also, I could be
paranoid.
student, I could be family member. You tell me what I am.
No, you're my cousin.
Okay.
I've got like
I
millions
will.
of cousins. It's fine.
I will gather up my prototypes left and throw them in my bag, just because I can't necessarily reach back to grab these later. So
Yeah, I've got to make that. See, I think it'll be better if I make that personal connection, because Isolde's just kind of been almost losing her mind, I think, a little bit lately over just kind of how controlled she wants to get on outside influences and meeting new people. She's feeling it a bit. Not that she's without reason, but we all react to the family paranoia in different ways.
yeah.
When you're ready, we'll head up, shall we? And he takes out a trump. We're going to head back over. Let's head back over to the palace. As you brought up a set of stairs. Finally, Addison and Lanata are brought up inside the Palace of Amber, which is kind of a sort of a 5-pointed affair. The castle, if I'm remembering correctly. You're brought in through kind of a an entrance that the guards will use. And you're brought through a series of very, very lavish hallways. This is like... this is extraordinarily rich, this place.
Oh, we're taking the formal entrance. Good. Looking over to Lanata. Means they won't kill us. They don't want to get blood on the carpets.
Well, that sounds very polite.
They really like the carpets.
A couple of doors are opened, and you're shown into the yellow room, where there is a throne here. It is not currently occupied.
Oh, good heavens.
But there are a few people around, just sort of courtier types,
Oh,
and a few. They're not really assembled here per se. They're just sort of sitting and chatting. And near the throne is a very big man, a big muscular fellow. He's got sort of graying hair and a beard. And Addison, this is one of your granduncles who is still around.
oh boy.
And Rumor brings you up and says, and sort of does a little sort of half bow, and he says, "Oh, well, what's this? You've these are a couple of prisoners?" He says. He just sort of looks over at Addison and just sort of smirks a little bit. And she says, "Where is Her Majesty?" "Her Majesty is currently occupied. She's asked not to be disturbed. It's just me right now."
We're not prisoners. Rumor went fishing. We're fish.
Oh, dear. Well then, I suppose we should. Well then, I suppose that these are. Do you reckon you're a little too small to keep? Should we throw you back?
Yes, I don't even think you can use us as bait fish.
We must talk at least for a few moments here, and just to make sure we're all on the same page.
What's the title of this book?
Security of the Kingdom.
Oh, is that all?
Quite. And so Rumor will look from you, just look over at Lynetta, and just basically just kind of, and is just sort of looks from them to him, just says, we need to find out anything we can. Fine, let's do that. Can we do that not in here? Fine. All right, then. Dining hall it is, then. I'm hungry.
Thank you.
You are... The couple of guards are move as though to follow you, and the big man looks over his shoulder and he says, "Seriously?" And they're like, they shrug and step back. He leads you across the hall to a very large dining hall, where there are tables of all manner, and he actually just sits at the nearest table, and you see immediately a sort of a servant runs up, and he says, "You have any beef?" He says, "Yes, bring me most of it." Right? He says, Do you eat meat?" And he's pointing to Lynetta.
I'm more of a pescatarian, but I'll make allowances out of politeness.
"Fish! Bring us a few fish."
Oh, it's very gracious of you.
Looking over at Renata, I didn't know you were a cannibal.
Right then, and he sits down. He sort of gestures for the two of you to sit, and also Rumor, but Rumor chooses to remain standing. And he says, "Very well. Do forgive my my manners." He turns to Lynetta. "Lord Gerard," he says, extending his hand.
Lenata will politely bow in Shaolin culture, and says, "Lenata, monk of the Order of the Wavy Noodle."
Can't say I've heard of it.
We're a little bit of we're a small school.
You're from very far off, aren't you?
I'm not really quite sure how you measure distance.
That's an excellent question. As the fleet travels, you're familiar with the Dusk Road, are you?
Floated above it a few times for a few.
And that's I presume that is how you made it here.
After a fashion, yes.
Interesting. All right. And at this point, you can kind of tell that Rumor is just sort of like, she's not quite seething, but she's just very much just sort of looking very suspiciously. And Gerard says, all right, Addison, do you want to tell me what happened?
I came back roughly from a trip, and I figured that I need to go and get something terrible to add to the swamp. So I just let my mind lead and my feet follow. I wound up at this, little pop-up shop. It was a line. I was able to get in. led me to this place. It looked more like a bar than an arboretum, but appearance
Really?
pretty deceiving. Yes.
He gives Rumor a significant look, and she's like, he
Far
nods.
more than an arboretum. Gentleman was kind enough. Asked me what I wanted. And then just showed me a crack. Fell on through. Nice lady. Had all sorts of nasty little plants.
Crack in the... Wait, which part of... This was in town?
Yes, granduncle, not all cracks are cracks. But I know enough to see one.
Right. Huh.
I'm pretty certain it wasn't a trunk. It would have only led to one place, and people were coming out with all sorts of things.
So you went into somewhere else,
Mhm.
and then came back
Yes,
with his plant.
yes. I got it for only 10. It was great.
And at this point, Rumor will turn. Did you see anyone else when you were in there?
Aside from the little old lady and all the plants? Or are you talking about the bartender?
What did this little old lady look like?
Hunched over, very polite, hooded thing. Place was all sort of like, there was like a light little twilight throughout there. Very pleasant. No, that was it. She just looked through the cracks, saw your burly brute squad, and was taken mildly aback, as most people are, because, well, there's the right, the wrong way to do things, especially when you want information. Just kind of stares daggers. And I bid her adieu, paid my gold, apologized for the rough nature of everything, and then showed your brute squad some manners and made my way out.
And he says, gesturing to Lanata, how did you get involved?
Well, I saw the crazy lady with the needle fingers over there leap down from the roof, and well, I thought she was gonna trouble this poor innocent citizen after the whole kerfluffle. So
You see Gerard
have
starting
to
to
greet her.
stifle a laugh, but he manages. You say poor innocent citizen.
and I was feeling a little feisty after watching that amusing little fight in the streets, and I just decided I would take an opportunity to introduce myself to the local populace.
And considering how well he did, great uncle, I have a feeling more's afoot, but I don't think he's a part of whatever sinister dark plots or what rumor or after.
And at this point, Rumor's just sort of looking at him suspiciously, and sort of cocking her head. And Gerard is like, "Well, are you satisfied? You can tell if they're lying, can't you?" And she nods slowly. "Yes. Excuse me, gentlemen. I have to go." She turns on her heel and she walks out of the room. And Gerard says, she tries. She tries very hard. It's difficult to, she has difficulties here. It's, far from home she is, so it's these things are difficult for her. Yes, so, he says, sort of gesturing to Lanata, we should probably talk a bit more, as it is rather fascinating that you managed to find yourself here in such a quick way. It is rather interesting, and but I think that I think we're probably all right for the time being. There is, it says, looking over at Addison, there is a thing. You have stumbled on something, though. There's a network of sorts that we're trying to pin down, rather, right now. And that's what's put rumor on edge recently.
How illicit is it?
Possibly very. It's the thing is, though. See, how do I put this? Your Aunt Isolde is not aunt. It would be, well, sort of an aunt of kind. It's weird, right? I'm trying to, yeah. She's your relative Isolde. Actually, it's a cousin thing. It's more cousins.
Yeah.
Okay. God, family tree. I will work out the family tree. Gerard's just everybody's uncle. I think that's just him.
Yeah, I've always referred to him as uncle.
Yeah, whether that's true biologically or not, that's just how he feels. He says, "Now your cousin Isolde is has got the idea that there is something greater going on that needs to be defended against, and so as a result, she's trying to make certain that that's the case. This moving market, she thinks, is representative of another power trying to, whether it's actually being used for it or not, she thinks there's a chance that it could be used in a very bad way, and she suspects there's a relative behind it.
There's a relative behind everything illicit, uncle.
This is what I try to tell her. Ah, meat. At this point, as you're being served meat, and you're being served beef and fish, and vegetables and things of that nature, and he says, "Well, hopefully," he says, as they're sort of backing away. "Well, we do need to talk about this a little bit more, but hopefully we can wait for disaster to. Hopefully disaster won't strike while we're having our lunch." And at that moment, you hear off to the side, "Uncle, hi." And Gerard turns, and you see that, Merlin is standing there. Lenata, what you see is a gentleman who looks like he's kind of approaching middle age, with sort of a dark beard. He's got a little bit of gray at the temples, and he's wearing a he's wearing a poncho, with with sort of the medieval type. Well, no, he's wearing a poncho, and then he's wearing sort of there's purple trousers under them, sort of a gray poncho.
Wow, I'm overdressed.
And standing next to him, Chris, could you describe your character?
Female, 5'9", fairly curvy, African features, green locks, and green eyes. And she's wearing a weird mix of Renaissance and cyberpunk, kind of like flowy blouse, pants with buckles, and a scarf tied, like, because that's fitting for her house. So, and it's all like green and black.
Very cool. Very cool. Yes. Okay. So, just sort of looking over, and you see them standing there.
Stand up immediately, give a nod.
Hi. Yeah, so I just wanted to. Sorry to interrupt you, Uncle. I just thought perhaps I would let you know that there may be possibly just a little bit of an army about to tear the middle of Shadow apart. Is that fish?
Yeah.
And I think that's where we're going to end this session. As Merlin notices the fish. So, we have now gotten three of our players together, and we'll see kind of where this goes from there. As all manner
and there's
of
a big old hook going towards the lady. Sure.
All right, folks. Well, we are going to go ahead and then we shall do our outros, as we have now reached this point, the point where we do that. And so we shall go around and again, feel free to plug whatever you like, say where folks can find you, and any thoughts about this session. We're going to go in reverse order. We already had Anders goodbye, so we're going to start with Anino.
Hi, my name's Anino. You can catch me on Twitter at Anino Gaming. This is fun. Wasn't really sure where I was going with all of this. I don't know where the whole plaid Abercrombie Fitch monk came from, but we'll go with it. You can catch me this Saturday night on this channel again for another thrilling session of Invisible Sun. So looking forward to that, seeing falls out of our last encounter.
Excellent. Yes, I'm very much looking forward to it. And now we're going to go over to Chris. Hello.
This is amazing. I'm really enjoying the Diceless aspect. The only thing I really have to plug is a friend of mine, Steven, is running what's called Rainbow Jam 2019. Jim, can you toss the link? Yeah. I don't have the Twitch channel.
There we go. Doing it now.
It is to celebrate diverse creators and projects, particularly with LGBTQIA+. So feel free to submit submissions between August 23rd and September 9th. And there's a link there, and I think it's a fantastic project. So that is why I'm plugging it.
Definitely go check that out. Yes, always very glad we're finally getting to play Amber.
Thank you. You don't understand. I'm glad I was able to toss in some plot hooks of here's some communication devices that
yes,
and self-replicating eventually, because that won't go bad.
No, that won't go wrong at all. That'll be just fine. Nothing bad will happen. Especially not after a couple of them have been touched by a spikerd, but let's not worry about that right now. Let's move on over to Pope.
Hey, everybody. Hi. Pope World Build on the Twitter, World Build on the Twitch. I lurk in all your streams. As for where you can see me, aside from this channel, you can catch me on Mondays at 8 p.m. over on Encounter Roleplay for some Warhammer Fantasy, Night of Blood, as we work through Cubicle 7's adventure within their 4th edition version of Warhammer. Far more bleak and a lot less intrigue than what you see here. I am so pleased to be in the One City. I am so happy to be here. So happy to be with this amazing cast, and just looking forward to where the story goes.
Yay! Yes, I am excited to see where this goes. As we've now got pieces in motion, and we'll sort of see where they end up on the board. I can guarantee you, with all the threads that we generated, there is no way in hell we're going to get to all of them. I'm generally in a lot of games. I'm confident that even though I throw out a lot of stuff, that we can hit most of the things. with this setting, that is impossible. But we're going to just sort of follow this road for a while and see where it leads. So there we are. So that leaves me. I am Jim. I am Other Doc on both Twitch and Twitter. My website is jimyesthatjim.com, where you can find my Geek Observation podcast and links to my various other podcasts, audio dramas, writings, and such. I've got links down below to my website, Twitter, and YouTube channel. On this channel, on Saturday, as has been stated previously, we have more Invisible Sun. Prior to that, on Friday, I'm going to be over at Off the Table, playing in their 1890s Urban Shadows campaign. But then Saturday over here, we have Invisible Sun, The Edge of Paradox. Then on Sunday, we do one-shots, and this Sunday will be the first of 2 one-shots of Mythic Rome, a setting I put together a few years back that I use with Savage Worlds. That's basically a world where it's ancient Rome, but you also have mythological creatures living alongside the Romans, and all manner of things are going on. There are still sign-ups open for those games. We've still got some slots open. So if anyone is interested, they can go ahead and click on sign up down below, or go to jimyesthatjim.com and click on game sign up and find a sign up form there. We can dive in. As always, beginners are welcome. But when we hit the end card, I'm going to send a raid. I'm going to send a raid. I did this a few days ago, but I'm going to go ahead again and send a raid over to Katie Face, because we are having I believe the finale. Yes, the finale of their Masks game is happening right now. So I want to go over and say hi. So feel free, if you wish to say hi with us, to hang out and do that when we go over there. That again will be when we hit the end card. But in the meantime, folks, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I will see you next week. Farewell.
Bye.